Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
All right, welcome into an extra inning post-game show on a Saturday night with Bill Laskey. No, I don't have any fireworks behind me. But boy, the San Francisco Giants needed that win today after a tough loss yesterday. And Landon Roupp threw one hell of a game. Giants scored early with a 2-run home run in the first. They added one in the third, and they held down to a 3-2 win, getting them 14 wins and 7 losses on the season. And now they're 5-4 on the road trip, and they could get one more win tomorrow and win a series. 9-2 overall against the American League, 10-5 on the road. All good numbers coming in to a homestand in 7 games in the next homestand coming up on Monday. 17 games they'll be playing in a row. But today, it was a tough bout again. Kyle Hendricks coming in to today's game. Giants were only hitting 185 against him in over 10 starts. And we saw it yesterday with Tyler Anderson, the slow pitch, the soft contact. Well, they had a different approach today. If you listened to the show last night on Sports Phone KNBR, I was asking fans, I was asking hitting coaches, shouldn't we be going the opposite way? And sure enough, somebody must have heard me because they did today. And I love their approach. They waited a little longer on the pitches coming in. And Kyle Hendricks, he didn't throw hard. We knew that. The hardest pitch he threw today was an 87-mile-an-hour sinker, mostly change-ups at 80, a curveball at 72. And he did okay. Don't get me wrong. He did pitch well, but the Giants ended up getting 3 runs off of him, only on 4 hits, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. And the Giants prevailed with those 3 runs after 3 innings. And going on the pitching mound, we have to talk about Landon Roupp. Just an outstanding game. Of course, he gave up 3 runs against the Philadelphia Phillies in his first inning last time in his last start. Today, he was spot on. Striking out the side in the first inning after just giving up a base hit. Only threw 16 pitches, 10 for strikes, and this is the way he pitched the entire 7 innings. I'm just going to throw you these numbers on the pitch count itself. 16 pitches in the first inning for 10 strikes, 11 pitches in the second inning, 8 strikes, 12 pitches in the third, 9 strikes, 17 in the fourth, 9 strikes, 11 pitches in the fifth, 9 strikes, 14-9 in the sixth, and he finished up 15-8. That is outstanding starting pitching right there, Giants fans. Keeping the count under 15 pitches throughout the whole game, 16, I should say, in the first inning, and he ends up going 96 pitches with 62 strikes. 16 first pitch strikes, 26 hitters, and really the only 2 mistakes were Mike Trout's home run ball, and first one was a curveball, the other was a changeup. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what he was dialed in mostly on was the curveball and sinker. He threw the curveball 45% of his pitches tonight, 43 curveballs and 42 sinkers, 44% on the sinker. That's 85 pitches out of 96 pitches that he threw, and they were moving. I mean, that curveball was wicked tonight, a 12-6 drop. Had it out of the zone, swinging over it, and then he caught the corner with the sinker so many different times. The curveball, 79 miles an hour. They had 20 swings against it and 12 whiffs. And when you look at what the strikeout count was, 9 strikeouts, 5 of them were on curveballs, 4 of them were on sinkers. And the sinker, the backdoor sinker to the right-hander was devastating to the right-handers today. And then you start looking at changeups. He only threw 8 of them. One of them's in left field right now. That was the one Mike Trout hit in the 6th inning. 3 cutters, 2 pitches that he was working on out of spring training. Really didn't dial him in what his pitch count was today. He went with mostly what he made the big leagues with last year, and that was curveball and sinker. The sinker got up to about 94 miles an hour. 92 was on the average. 16 swings on those, 4 on whiffs. When you're looking at his whole plan of attack with Patrick Bailey and I loved what he did. He threw a lot of pitches in on right-handers, especially on Joe Adell, the ninth hitter, and Kyron Paris. Kyron Paris struck out 3 times, 2 curveballs and a sinker. I don't think he saw one ball on the outer part of the plate. They just went straight in at his hands, and he punched out 3 times. Adell, the same thing. They went in on his hands, struck out on a curveball, little weak pop-up to Lamont Wade Jr. at first, and then a ground ball back to Rogers. And last night, when you're looking at Paris was 0 for 3 last night, but he hit the ball pretty well, and then Adell was 3 for 3 yesterday. So they really silenced the 8-9 hitters. Landon Roupp was just spotless. He was throwing just bullets today. Easy innings, too, and that's what I loved about it. He had a 1-2-3 inning in the third inning, only throwing 12 pitches with 9 strikes, 2 punch-outs, and a fly ball to left field. That was the most clean inning. In the 5th inning, he had 2 punch-outs also in the 7-8 hitters with sinkers, and then he got a weak pop-up from Adell. I was wondering what Bob Melvin was going to do as his pitch count started rising a little bit. When you got to the 6th inning, it was 81-54, and that was when Mike Trout hit his second home run, but he put him back out there in the 7th inning. He walked the first hitter, Hop, and it really was strange because he felt like he struck the hitter out. The hitter's walking back to the plate. The umpire really didn't make a call. It was kind of a strange count, and in a 3-2 pitch, I really thought the 3-2 pitch was on the corner, and he called ball 4. When you saw what Landon Roupp did today, that was his only walk he had. In the entire game, he only had 3 3-ball counts. Only 3 of them, and he walked 1 only. He was dialed in ahead of the count. As I said, when you look at first pitch strikes, 16 out of 26, 5 ground ball outs, 6 fly ball outs, a sinker and curveball. Nothing different there. It was sharp. That curveball is so wicked. Reminds me of Bert Blyleven and even a Sean Estes who's doing television tonight. He had a wicked curveball, a 12-6 drop. You start thinking of how many balls that he can throw from that angle and how that spin is so tight that it just breaks at the last second. And it's all about where he really throws that baseball from his ear out, and he twists it down, straight down. And that's where you get that 12-6 drop. The sinker, 2-seamer, comes off your second finger, and he had that moving on the inside part of the plate pretty well today. A lot of jam shots, and when you get ground balls like that, that's where you want to get inside on the right-handers. Other than that, he held them in check, and the 2 home run balls, Mike Trout, of course, yesterday really had a bad day. Logan Webb had 3 strikeouts against him, a couple change-ups. He went 0 for 3 yesterday. Came into the game hitting 171. The first time up, Mike Trout saw that curveball and struck out. The second time he went up on a 2-1 count, threw the same curveball, but he didn't get it down below the knees. Mike Trout hit that ball 435 feet in the left field for his 7th home run to break up the shutout. And in 6th inning, they came at the same type, 0-1, threw him a sinker, and then he came back with a changeup, but the changeup kind of went down and in, and one of the best low ball hitters in Major League Baseball. He didn't miss that one, hit it right down the left field line, 380 feet. And that was all the scoring that the Los Angeles Angels did tonight. They stymied the whole offense, and Ryan Walker came in to close it. Tyler Rogers, what a setup man he's been this year. 11 games he's been in the 21 games the Giants have had, and Ryan Walker gets his 5th save. He hasn't pitched that much, and I thought today a kind of overthrowing. I thought the sinker, he was bringing up to 95, 96, really didn't have that command with the slider. He threw a slider to Mike Trout. He threw him 5 straight sinkers, and the first sinker or first slider he threw, Trout hit it a deep left center field. If you saw Patrick Bailey, he kind of stood up and looked, and I think he thought he had it. And Ramos ran it down at the wall. That was a really fast heartbeat for all us Giants fans. Soler gets a base hit, and the play really in the 9th inning was a ground ball to Chapman. He kind of stumbled, didn't know what he did from his knees. He ends up throwing out the runner at first base, and the cannon arm he had, he made some great plays at third. Once again, deep throws down the line, and that was the play of the 9th inning. Ended up getting a fly ball to end the inning to center field, and Ryan Walker gets save number 5. He threw 19 pitches, 9 for strikes. Tyler Rogers threw 12 pitches, 8 for strikes. and this pitching staff really held the Angels down today. They needed that win. A bad game yesterday. They just couldn't get any runs off Tyler Anderson. Logan Webb threw just a pearl of a game yesterday. 4 hits, 1 earned run, 12 punch-outs, and no walks. And you add in Landon Roupp's 9 strikeouts. That's 21 strikeouts the Giants starters did in for 13 innings. So very, very impressive win for the Giants today as they have one more game on this 10-day road trip. Then they come home from some home cooking, 4 against Milwaukee, 3 against Texas, before they get their first day off on April 28th. That's a Monday, and that'll be 17 straight games they played in. So you start looking on the offense side once again. Mike Yastrzemski doing extremely well at the leadoff spot so far this year. He went 1 for 4 tonight with a run. He's 5 for 15 in the leadoff spot. 3 doubles, 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 5 walks. And, you know, we talked about this last year about leading him off, and they really didn't do it. This year, with the troubles that Lamont Wade Jr. has been having, this is a great, great move. And I think Yaz is putting the ball in play, going the opposite way, really hustle on the ball. He hit to right center field for that double, a 1-1 fastball he got. And he really tested Jorge Soler's arm. And it ended up getting that third run in as Willie Adames went first pitch out to right field, getting a base hit, driving him in, and that was the game winner. So a good hustle play by Mike Yastrzemski. And Willie Adames, they were saying before the game, of course, he's in a tough slump. He's hitting under 200, and he was putting everything to right field. And I think that's what Pat Burrell and Damon Minor were trying to get these guys to do, is go the opposite way. I think this team can really advance in getting more base hits, getting more guys around bases, and really driving in runs if they can just wait a little bit and go opposite way. They had the 3 best changeup pitchers they faced the last 3 games. When you go back to Philadelphia, Christopher Sanchez, he punched out 12 guys in that 7 innings, and most of that was all on changeups. And, of course, yesterday Tyler Anderson goes 6 innings, and he was all changeups. And then all of a sudden we got Kyle Hendricks again, finally a right-hander after 2 left-handers, and they pushed 3 runs across Kyle Hendricks and gave him the loss today. Landon Roupp gets the win. He's 2-1. Ryan Walker gets to save his 5th. 808 KNBR, let's get the phone lines ringing here. Let's talk about this Giants team. Some hitters still in a slump. Some hitters are starting to get hot. Greg Minton on the show later today, the Moon Man, good friend of mine, teammate. He also pitched for the Angels. So I sat down with him yesterday and had a nice conversation about some of the things he did with the Giants and how he transferred over to the American League and pitched with the Angels. You'll hear more about the Moon Man and some of the stories he'll bring on later in the show. I'm Bill Laskey. This is the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. 808 KNBR. Let's get the phone lines ringing. Let's talk this Giants team as they're 14-7. One more game left on a road trip and coming home to Oracle Park on Monday. We'll have more coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Swinging a drive. High and deep to left. It is out of here. And the Giants lead 2-0. Chapman with his fourth, and it ends up in the Giants bullpen.
All right, back on the Extra Inning post-game show on a Saturday evening with Bill Laskey. The home run called by Dwayne Kuiper. Matt Chapman with an 0-1 changeup. He got high, about belt high, and he smoked his fourth home run of the season, 78 miles an hour. How about that? 78 miles an hour by Kyle Hendricks. A walk by Adames, second batter in that inning, and it was a 2-0 lead for the San Francisco Giants. They added one and a third, and that was it. And looking at this box score of mine, not too impressive after you look at the top four hitters. Yastrzemski went 1 for 4 with a double. Adames goes 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Jung-Hoo Lee gets a base hit in the 8th inning. Matt Chapman goes 2 for 3, of course, with the home run. He got another base hit in the 4th. Ended up getting a walk in the 6th inning. That's 19 walks on the season for Matt Chapman. He leads Major League Baseball. Really was in a slump going out of New York. I mean, I think it was like 0 for 23, and he snapped it out of Philadelphia, and he's really been carrying the team lately. Had a nice game today, both offensively and defensively. And then you look at 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Ramos, Wade, Flores, Bailey, and Fitzgerald. not a good night for the fellas. 0 for 20 with one walk. 0 for 20. Lamont Wade Jr. trying to get out of this slump, hit a couple balls deep and right on the nose. And that's one big thing. You can say he's really trying to cut his swing down a little bit and get a little launch angle on it. But it's still 0-91, 1 for 32 in his last 32 at bats. So hopefully Lamont Wade Jr. can snap out of this, as well as Patrick Bailey hitting a $161. These guys are needed in this lineup to get this offensive rolling. Giants win today 3-2. Tomorrow 107. Justin Verlander on the hill for the Giants against Yuichi Kikuchi. Yeah, I say it like that. That's right. This is a fun name. You could say it all different ways, but that's the way I'm going to say it tonight on a Saturday night. All right, 808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Let's go to Mark in San Lorenzo. Mark, you're on an extra inning post-game show on a Saturday night. Giants win. One more game on this road trip. What do you think so far on this 10-day road trip?
It's been great, Bill, and it's good to talk to you again. A Saturday night, and like Mike Krukow says, this was a nail biter, right? It was what did Dwayne Kuiper says? Torture, right? I think that's the word he uses, torture. And it was torture.
Well, when Trout came up there leading off the ninth inning, I think I went to the edge of my seat and I'm like, please get him out. And the swings he was getting, he had two nice swings. Ball. He did, and if you watch Bailey,
I thought it was out. I thought it was
so did
home run right there.
Mark so did Bailey. If you looked him up, he looked up and he's like, oh, and then he caught it at the fence. And I think all Giants fans took a sign of relief there. And it still didn't end. Ryan Walker, I really felt he threw really hard today. Hasn't been in a game in a while. The sinker was moving way too fast. He was throwing it around 96. He's usually not. He doesn't usually throw it that hard. Couldn't get it in the strike zone, and then the slider. The first slider he threw was Trout, and he just got under it a little bit. But he ended up getting out of the inning. How about that play by Chapman, falling over at third, and still had enough on his knees to throw him out at first?
Yeah. Well, I heard Matt explain what happened. He said there was a hole in the ground right there in the dirt. He went to cover it. He was backpedaling, and that's when he didn't think the guy would swing on 3-0. He swung at 3-0. He sent the ball his way, so he kind of lost his footing. But the man is incredible. On his knees, he gets the ball, stops it, and then he throws from his knees on one hop. And Lamont Wade, like always, scoops it up, and they just got the guy. And that was a big play. You don't get him. You got first and second. You got first and second with nobody out. Am I correct? There's nobody out yet, right?
It would have been one out because Trout hit that first out. But that was a tough play overall. You know, if you remember yesterday, it was when he went in front of the ball and he couldn't scoop it and he pushed it out to left field for that unearned run. He's all over the place. That's what I love about him. He plays a deep third base. And he comes in on everything, and his range is so good left and right and forward.
On one play, he was standing behind third base on the outfield grass.
Yes.
When he threw a seed and caught Soler. I think it was Soler that hit that ball. He threw him out. He threw from the outfield or the grass on the outfield from the dirt after the dirt finishes.
Yeah, that was in the fourth inning. That was after Trout hit that home run. That ball was hit right down the line, and you're absolutely right behind third base. And I remember talking to Matt Williams in spring training, and I asked him about his balance and how he gets down so far. And the first thing he said, Bill, I've never seen a third baseman play so deep, and his range is so quick. I just love hearing stuff like that, especially from Matt Williams.
He's like a cat when he gets down in his crouch. He can come in on the ball. He can go sideways. He can go on the line and scoop it there and get up. And he gets up awfully quick to throw. I mean, he doesn't waste any time once he gets the ball in his glove. He's up and throwing. Now, Bill, what was I going to say? Trout. I just want to mention Trout. That guy, I mean, he's a tremendous player.
Yesterday he didn't look that way, though. 33 years old. I think the flight kind of got him tired. He looked very pale yesterday. Really didn't swing well against Logan Webb. Punched him out 3 times. The one morning rest he had, he came out swinging today. And that 2-1 curveball, I'm sure Roupp wanted it a little lower, but he punched him out on that in the first inning. He came back with it on a 2-1 pitch, and if you don't think Mike Trout was looking for it, he nailed that one, 435 feet. That ball was smoked.
And remember, Bill, what Mike Krukow always says, he says the first time up the pitcher will fool these guys, and he was fooling them with his curveball. He was throwing a beautiful curveball, 12-6 every time, and he caught these guys swinging and missing. But the second time up, these are professional. These are Major League Baseball players, and they're all ready for it the second time up.
Well,
so,
maybe not all of them. Hold on, Mark.
Awesome.
Maybe not all of them. He punched out 9 guys today, and I think Trump
I'm gonna praise Landon Roupp. He did a great. He's a rookie. He's been struggling at times, right? But tonight, that dude is a lumberjack. When you see him standing on the mound, he is big. His shoulders are big. His legs are big. And excuse me for thinking this, but when I see him throwing that drop all the time, I'm thinking, Tommy John, man, he's going to throw his arm out. But he's a bull, and that's
you look over his stats this year, Mark. 15 innings coming into the game today, 20 strikeouts. So he has been punching guys out. He gave up 1 home run in Philly. But today, I just loved his sinker. His sinker was moving really good today. He had that at 94 miles an hour, and we were really convinced on his curveball being the 2 pitches that he loved throwing. But coming out of spring training, talking to him, he wanted to bring the cutter and changeup in, and today he only threw it 11 times, 8 changeups and 3 cutters. So he went with his 2 pitches that he got to the big leagues with, and he dialed in today.
And it got him to the 7th inning. It gave him 9 strikeouts, got him to the 7th, which is great because most of their pitchers haven't been getting out of the 6th lately. And so the relievers are all coming in. And, the guys, Tyler Rogers, awesome dude, with that sinker. He comes down from look like he's bowling when he throws the ball, and then you got Ryan Walker. Bill, when you got your closer come in and we're 100% confident he's going to close out that game. And like you said, he didn't throw first pitch strikes tonight. He wasn't throwing a first pitch strike through every batter. And yet he got out in the 9th inning.
Yeah.
He got out of the 9th inning. And
I just thought he overthrew today. I think a little adrenaline was in there today because he usually doesn't throw that sinker 96, and he was throwing it way too hard, and the sink was coming out of the strike zone. He really didn't go much to that slider. He went mostly sinkers. He got out of it, no doubt. But I thought today it just looked like because he had some added rest. And when you throw a sinker and a slider, and that's what I did, you overthrow it, it moves too much, and you can't control it. Today, I just think the adrenaline got to him, but he got out of it, and the Giants end up saving one of these games and winning the second game. Boy, yesterday...
And we won tomorrow.
Yesterday was a tough game, Mark. Yeah, yesterday was a tough game.
They were tired, Bill. They came out of New York. They got down to Philadelphia, and it was cold in both cities.
Yeah.
It was 50-something degrees. I mean, these guys are suffering out there and playing in the rain in New York. So I think they were just tired. They got to the West Coast, a 3 hour difference.
Yeah, they got in midnight, but Mark, I was on last night, and I'm not going to say that because I played professional baseball, and sure, you're tired. Adrenaline gets you over it. But you know what? Tyler Anderson just off-sped. Everything was 190, a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, then an 80-mile-an-hour changeup. He really just was pulling cords on him, and they flew out. They had 15 pop-ups, 15 fly ball outs yesterday. And today, I like their approach today, Mark. They started going the opposite way, waiting that ball coming in and going the opposite way, and it ended up working with them. They only ended up getting 5 hits, but a lot of balls were shot the other way. Bailey from the left side hit it out to left field. A couple other ones from the right side hit it out to right field. They just need to do that a little bit more. I think that's what these guys have to start doing, using all parts of the field.
Well, Willie Adames did, Bill, on his base hit where he got picked off and trying to go to second. That was a beautiful. He went with the ball and he sent it into right field.
Good
and they
call.
need to do that. Yeah, go with the pitch like you said. Don't try to beat them.
Well, Mark, thanks for the call tonight on a Saturday. It's always great catching up with you. Good baseball talk, and it's a good time as the Giants win 3-2 today. All right, let's go out to San Jose and talk to Dennis. Dennis, you're on the Extra Inning postgame show on a Saturday night. Giants win 3-2. One more game on this 10-day road trip. A possibility of winning the series. They won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. They split against the Phillies. They have one more game to take a nice series win here to come home. What'd you think of the game today?
Yeah, Bill, it was a good game, but I think we're in a slump right now because Madonna, the shortstop's not hitting. The first baseman of our team, he's not hitting, and he hasn't hit in about a year and a half now. He's been that way for the last year. He didn't hit good either. And I'm wondering, what happened to that guy, that rookie they have down in the minor leagues? That
Bryce Eldridge?
Yeah, when will they bring him up? Because
Bryce, hold on, Dennis. Let me tell you where Bryce Eldridge is. Okay, you want to know about him? He hurt his wrist in spring training. He's in extended spring training in Arizona. They're ready to make a move with him. He's either going to go to Richmond or Sacramento. That move hasn't been made yet, and I don't think he's ready for the big leagues. I think they're going to give opportunities to Lamont Wade Jr. I know he's struggling, 1 for 32. Today, Casey Schmidt went on the IL with the oblique strain. They ended up bringing David VR back up. Of course, David was optioned out. He had no more options, so they put him on the waiver wire, and he didn't get selected. So he went down to Sacramento, hitting over 360, had over 15 walks, so they brought him back up, put him on the roster. So we'll probably see him tomorrow against the left-hander. So I'm sure Lamont Wade Jr. is going to come back home and work with Barry Bonds a little bit more and try to get his swing path better.
And there's something else. Webb is a great pitcher. He's proven he's a great pitcher. But I don't want to see him be like Kane. Kane was a great pitcher too, but we never got runs behind him. And the thing is, he lost 2-0. And pitched a great game.
1 earned run.
12 guys.
Yeah, well, you can't, as a pitcher, you're not going to start screaming at your hitters, or you're out there doing your best. Those are the things that happen. You look at his Yankee game, he only went 5 innings. They ended up scoring in the top of the 6th inning. He gets a win there. He ended up throwing 7 shutout innings against the Reds, punching out 10, no walks and no decision. Sometimes the wins, losses kind of even out like a line drive or a dribbler through the middle. So hopefully Logan Webb's not upset. He knew what he had to do yesterday, and his 3-pitch mix really carried him over with 12 strikeouts and no walks. It's just tough, and I think you're right about the offense today. I threw it out there from the 5th through 9 hitters, 0 for 20. 0 for 20 with 1 walk. So the offense has to get a little bit better and score some more runs. They scored 3 early and held on, and after the 3rd inning, they really had no offense to even try to push a run across.
Yeah, but Bill, what about the 42-year-old pitcher we have? I can't.
Justin Verlander? Justin Verlander's throwing tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing is I don't know if he really has it like he used to have it. He's 42 now, and they're hitting home runs off him.
They've only hit 2 home runs off of him. He has given up 12 earned runs. He's pitched 13 2/3 innings. He's got into the 6th inning in 3 out of his 4 games. So let's give him a little room to breathe. He's a veteran pitcher. 3 Cy Youngs. I mean, he's going to be in a Hall of Fame. So many accolades for Justin Verlander. We got to give Justin some opportunity. He didn't pitch much last year. So just breathe a little bit with Justin Verlander. When you have the experience of a pitcher like him, you just got to keep him, throwing him out there. Once he gets into his rhythm, Dennis, it'll be a lot better, and you'll see why they ended up signing him for a 1-year contract. So thanks again, Dennis, for your call. I appreciate your time on a Saturday. Some good thoughts about the Giants baseball team. All right, we're going to take a quick break and come back with some more calls. 808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. Giants win today 3-2. They're 14-7 with 1 more game left on this 10-day road trip. We'll have more coming up right next on KNBR, the sports leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM, the sports leader.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Runner will get a head start. There goes Shonowell. 3-2. Swung on and missed. He struck him out with the curve. 9 strikeouts tonight over 7 very impressive innings from Landon Roupp.
Back on the Extra Inning postgame show with Bill Laskey, and boy, he pitched well tonight, Landon Roupp. So many different times going to the curveball. Patrick Bailey kept calling curveball, sinker. 9 strikeouts, 5 by the curveball, 4 by the sinker. 9 strikeouts in 7 innings, going 96 pitches, 62 for strikes. Just a good, solid game for Landon Roupp. Got the win. He's 2-1 on the season, and Ryan Walker got to save number 5. So surprises for you fans tonight. If you listen to the Extra Inning postgame tomorrow, I got one-of-a-kind interview tomorrow as I interviewed Jung-Hoo Lee this weekend. And ended up going through his interpreter. It's one-of-a-kind interview. First time we're going to try to do it on KNBR. Fabulous interview, and he really got some good questions to him at the end, some funny ones. You'll enjoy it. That's going to be on the Extra Inning postgame show tomorrow, a one-on-one with Jung-Hoo Lee. And for you to understand Korea, and I learned about this when I went through his interpreter, Justin, when you talk to a Korean player, you talk to him by his last name. So it's Lee Jung-Hoo. So when you hear this interview, and I'll say it again tomorrow, all my questions are to Lee Jung-Hoo. It's very interesting how they do it in Korea. And, of course, it's heritage and history, and I honored that. And it was just a fun interview with him. And also, the other interview I have is a real nice one, too. 14 years he was with the California Angels, L.A. Angels, Anaheim Angels. I sat down with Tim Salmon. And Tim Salmon, great interview. I had him on a few years ago, and he was really electric. A lot of exciting times that we talk about. So 2 good interviews tomorrow, but I got a funny one tonight with Greg Moonman Minton. I think if anybody knows my relationship with the Moon Man, he had some fun times in the 80s with me. One of the best closers in the game, and we talk about the history that he gave and with the Giants, and then all of a sudden he ended up going to the American League for 3 years and played with the Angels, and that's coming up later tonight. All right, let's get to the phone lines, 808 KNBR. Let's go to Steve in San Francisco. Steve, you are on the Extra Inning postgame show. How are you this evening?
Hey, Bill. Thank you for taking my call. I remember when I first called you guys, you were with the blue when you first started. That was cool. But,
back in the day, yeah, on the hill with Mike and Bill. Yeah, that was a fun shows. Those were fun days, man. Sure. A lot of laughter in those shows.
Yeah, and another note, I was in the marina watching the game, and when Chapman made that great play, there's a younger guy sitting next to me. I go like, man, this guy's like up in the league with Craig Nettles and Brooks Robinson.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm right there with you. And of course, before Chapman really got to the big leagues, we saw Nolan Arenado doing it for so many years. If you remember back in his day. And I still think Matt Chapman's the best in Major League Baseball right now. The plays he makes, how just consistent he is on his throws. And playing deep third base from behind third base and throwing it across the diamond, and it's spot on. And today, like you said, falling over in the ninth inning off his knees makes that play, and that was a big play in the ninth.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to leave with you is a memory bank. I know you go back to the times back in the 70s and 80s with your experience, and I remember when you were in that great pitching staff the Giants had in 78, Jack Clark, the hitting, the Larry Herndon and Terry Whitfield, but you and Nepper and Lavelle, Gary Lavelle, Moffitt, man, what a team that was.
That was a little, Stevie, that was a little earlier than I did. I wasn't with Moffitt or Montefusco. I was there in 82. Those guys were there 79, 80, 81.
Okay.
Jack Clark was in right field, Chili Davis, Jeffrey Leonard, Hackman was in the outfield, and 1982 we came down to the final game where we beat the Dodgers and knocked them out of the playoffs. That was the best time in my career, watching Tommy Lasorda having to go through our locker room because the field was full of Giants fans and they couldn't get on the field, off the field. It was just a fun time and a great memory, but some great players back then for sure, Steve.
Was that Joe Morgan hitting that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Joe Morgan hit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That was a fun time.
I remember he came on KNBR, and I had to ask Joe Morgan. I've been born and raised in San Francisco, and I go, "Do you think we'll ever get to the World Series?" I forget what he said, but
he probably said no. Not with that
he
team.
Didn't
not
say
with the
no,
Giants.
but he went around it. But
did he? He was one of the best play-by-play and color guys. I mean, we always watched him on Sunday ESPN games with John Miller and Joe Morgan. Those were just fun games. You always kind of said, who's on the game, who we're going to watch tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. And those two guys were fabulous in those years.
Well, I tell you something, that Bill King could have been a great national announcer, and Joe Morgan probably could have been a really great manager because he was so intelligent.
Oh, I agree with that. And, there was times when I played in 82, he literally came from second base and right on the mound, covered his mouth way before they even did that, when Greg Maddox did it, when Will Clark saw what he was going to throw when that Chicago Giants game. But Joe Morgan would come out to the mound and he'd say, "What do you want to throw this guy?" And I'm thinking of throwing a slider here. And he goes, no, throw the sinker, then come back with the slider, and I guarantee he'll roll over on it. I said, okay. Sure enough, I'd throw the sinker in, throw the slider, and he'd roll over to second base, and I'd look back at him, and he'd just nod his head. And that was the information you got out of him. He would know, just like a good pitcher, 2 or 3 pitches down the road, you're always looking ahead. But Joe Morgan was that type of guy. I think he would have been a great manager, but he didn't want to do it. Many times I've asked him, why don't you want to do it? Didn't want to do it. He ended up going in the front office with the Reds for a few years. I just don't know. Some guys just don't want to display it in a manager. They want to either be in the front office or in a meeting, being like an administrator or an advisor. I always thought Joe Morgan would have been a good one because he was great in the clubhouse.
Well, I understand that position, that situation. Same with Bill King. And I'm the same way. Some people would say to me, "Hey, you should be this, should be that." Is this, you just don't. You got to
be comfortable in what you do. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're not, Ron Washington, I've known Ron all the way back. We played winter ball together way back in the late 70s and early 80s. We played winter ball and knew him from the very beginning. And he was that kind of guy that was a teacher. He was a professor. He would tell you different things and you would just listen to him. And as he graduated out of baseball and got into the coaching ranks and played third base, coaching third base, the Oakland A's, the Atlanta Braves, he had his stint with the Texas Rangers. He wanted to get back to be that manager. And when he went into the Angels and had that interview, they selected him immediately. And there's something about it, something about those kind of players, just like a Bob Melvin. When you're a player and you become a manager, there's something that you have within you that you can teach. And you can illustrate what you want to do and help players, bad roles, good roles, off the field, on the field. And you start thinking of all these players that were managers, and most of them are either catchers or great instructors like Ron Washington.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Bill. Have a good night.
Yeah, Steve, thanks for the call. Appreciate the memories, too. And You know, he's absolutely right. Back in the days and Candlestick days, boy, there was some good pitching staffs with the Giants. Back in the day when John Montefusco was there, he talked about Randy Moffett, Gary Lavelle, Al Holland. You'll hear another one tonight with Greg Minton. He was a great closer back in the early 80s. All right, let's go to Eddie. He went to the game tonight. Eddie, are you driving home? Where are you tonight?
Yes, sir, Mr. Bill Laskey. I am driving home, and it was a gridlock.
Oh, it was. I bet. It was a gridlock game, too. Boy, there was some torture in that game.
Honestly, this team brings me back to, like, the torture days, like 2010, 12, 14. Like, these guys have got fucking sorry for cursing.
Mm-hmm. You slipped on that one.
Yeah, that's how passionate I am about the Giants. And that's how passionate I am about this team. These guys have grit. And whether it be Willie Thomas, even though he's, not showing up mostly at the plate, he's a great clubhouse guy.
I really believe that, too. And, I've been sticking up about Adames. I think it's just going to be time, Give this guy some breathing time. I had a couple interviews, and one of the interviews said to me, he has to get accustomed just wearing a new uniform. Maybe that's something. You just don't look down and say, I was with the Brewers for so many years. Now he got a new Giants uniform. He's just got to relax a little bit more. I think he puts more pressure on himself. Today, I loved his at-bats. Got a nice walk in the first inning. First pitch he saw in the third inning goes to right field. And I don't know if you listened to the pregame show. They were talking about a lot of hitters trying to go the opposite way. And with all these soft tossers, I think that is a major, major concern that Pat Burrow and Damon Minor did in batting practice today, especially with Kyle Hendricks and the two changeup masters. They saw the two lefties the last two games. They had problems with it. Today, a different approach, even though they only got 5 hits, but they really cashed in on 3 runs with them.
They're gritty, and I love that they're running so much, too. Like, Oh, my gosh, that's a complete change around from last year. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was change in ownership, maybe with Buster Posey, of course, or maybe just new clubhouse guys, new leadership with Matt Chapman and Willie Adames.
Yeah, I think it's direction of the team, too. It's a different type of direction. They're not looking off of laptops and looking at all the analytics of every player. They're looking at how a player's playing. Bob Melvin's watching a heartbeat, feeling a heartbeat, pushing guys when they have to. I loved what he did. He took Lamont Wade Jr. out of the leadoff spot. He's been struggling, and Mike Yastrzemski has just been eating it up in the leadoff spot. When you look, 5 for 15 in 15 at-bats at the leadoff spot, and it's been working. Today he got that nice double in the third inning. That ball was hit, and he tested Solaire's arm at second base. That was a bang-bang play.
No, that was. Honestly, okay, so Mr. Bill Laskey, I have a question for you. I know that you've been playing for so many years. Now you're retired. What are some superstitions that you have about baseball?
Superstitions? I always had to have the same breakfast every time I pitched. I had breakfast. It didn't matter if I pitched a night game or an afternoon game. I always ate light the day I pitched. The night before, I had to have pasta. I had to eat something light. It wasn't like a bolognese pasta. It was a light pasta made with a butter sauce or a shrimp, something light the night before. Chicken, fish. But I usually had something heavy like the second day after I pitched, just some, carbos and beef. But then as I got to pitch, I ended up only eating light going into the start. And then on the day of the start, I wore the same T-shirt, the same sleeves, the same spikes, used only my glove that day. Oh, I was superstitious. There was no question about it.
How often would you wash it?
What's that?
How often would you wash it?
Oh, I'd wash it all the time. That didn't bother me. I wasn't that crazy. Let me tell you, there was some players that wore those sleeves, and they didn't wash them until they lost, and there was some funk on them. But, there was a lot of baseball players that have superstitions. There's no question about it.
Exactly, and I only bring that up because my friend that came to the Angel game with me, he's an Angel fan, and he's so, how would you say it, consumed with a rally monkey. And he has a fucking he has a rally monkey right next to his, wrapped around his shoulder as we speak.
Well, they put that rally monkey on our shoulders when they won the World Series against us, and it worked. So they're really pulling some strings to see if that's going to work again.
I feel like that's a superstition as well. Like, the rally monkey. I honestly feel like that's why the Angels won. Like, it's
well, Eddie, man, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Some good energy coming out of the Giants clubhouse today, and they ended up winning the second game. One more game left on this 10-day road trip, and then they come home for some home cooking for 7 games. That'll be 17 straight the Orange and Black will be playing. But glad you got to watch the game. Glad you watched a win by the Giants today. Appreciate the call. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Got a few more callers on hold. 808 KNBR. We'll get through the calls, and we'll bring on my interview with Greg Minton. That's all coming up next right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Will is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Throws, and O'Hoppe swings away. It's a chopper to third. Chapman falls down from his knees. He throws to first, and he got him. Eric Young, the third base coach, from his perspective, started waving over to the first base coach, who says, let's look at that in the video room. Ron Washington is not going to challenge, though. I don't know how Chapman did that.
All right, back on the Extra Inning post-game show on a Saturday. The Matt Chapman Show on offense, a 2-run home run. On defense, some stellar plays. And Landon Roupp, Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Walker on the hill. And the Giants ended up winning the second game of a 3-game series. They're going to finish it right here tomorrow in Los Angeles. Verlander against Kikuchi. That'll be a good matchup. First pitch is going to be 105. And listen to the pregame show. Kerry Crowley and myself are going to split up the pregame show. So join us as we prepare you to watch the game and talk about some of the things that we feel are hot and what are not. And get you ready as they finalize a 10-day road trip. They're 5-4 right now. Of course, they won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees. They split in the Phillies 2-2, and it's 1-1 against the Angels. Coming in today, I read a stat. The Giants had lost 5 out of 6 games against the LA Angels since August 8th of 2023. That kind of sparked me today. Of course, yesterday they lost 2-0. Today they finally win one, and let's see if they can break it and win the series tomorrow. All right, let's get back on the phone lines. Let's go out to Berkeley. Let's talk to Andrea. Andrea, a good win by the San Francisco Giants tonight. 14-7. Not a bad start for it now.
That was excellent. I remember when Landon Roupp and Birdsong were in competition to get the 5th spot in the rotation, and may the best Virgo win, and glad they're both doing well. And Roupp is September 10, 1998, and he was excellent. 7 innings pitched,
Sure
5
did.
hits, 2 runs, and 9 strikeouts.
So, Andrea, they're both the same horoscope? They really
Yes.
are, huh? Wow.
They sure are. And with the Virgo energy, you get the, detailed, meticulous, methodical,
That's them.
hardworking.
There you go. I mean, that's spot on with the Roupp and Birdsong. Hardworking. They are meticulous with their pitches. You can see how hard they work. They're both young in age. When you look at Roupp 26 and Birdsong 23, that's what I love about the young youth of this team. They're growing with the veteran players. They're growing with Patrick Bailey. And those things you don't change. Those things are going to get better.
Yes, that was excellent. I mean, 7 innings, quality start, and, hats off to Matt Chapman for that baseball play he made in the field. Talk about a determined Taurus, April 28, 1993. He just, wouldn't give up on
it's
one
like
knee.
every game, isn't it, Andre? Every game he does something where you just go, wow.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, Andre. On the other side, on the Angels team, J.D. Davis is now in the big leagues with them. Of course, we saw J.D. Davis with the Giants for a few years.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. And hearing about the superstitions is interesting. And remembering the rally monkey, that goes way back.
Yeah, we don't want to think about that. I loved what I think Kipe said it on Friday. Hey, you know what I saw in the parking lot? A dead rally monkey.
Oh, there he goes. And I'm looking forward. That's funny. I'm looking forward to your interview with Moon Man Minton, and please ask him how he got the nickname Moon Man.
Oh, you will hear that. He tells a couple stories of why he got the Moon Man. Now, of course, the stories are only good on radio, but there's a few other choice ones that we can't talk on radio about. But he was a funny guy. He kept the clubhouse loose, and it's a fun interview later tonight.
Oh, yeah. No, I really look forward to it. So, great show.
Andrea, tomorrow is the big interview. Jung-Hoo Lee. You got to listen to that one. That's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I look forward to that as well. That should be quite interesting to hear what he's got to say. I mean, frankly, it's hard to not think of what might have been if he was healthy last year.
Yeah. Well, we talk about a little of that. We talk about the mental approach of how he stood and just listened and watched the games. And he really believes that watching the games last year made him better to absorb what the pitchers throw. Because as you know, he played in Korea baseball for 7 years. So last year he got to watch these guys pitch and see a little bit of what the scouting reports were. And so he just didn't take the year off, and I loved hearing that, and you'll hear that tomorrow. But Andrea, thanks for the call. I appreciate your time on a Saturday. Let's go out to San Francisco and talk to Safe at third. How are you tonight?
Hey, doing real good, Bill. What a great win tonight.
That was a big-time win. Yep, I really agree.
I tell you, they're coming. It's like one of the callers say, they got grit. They're grinding. And
it was kind of winning in the trenches, you know. It was like dig in. We're going head-to-head. And that ninth inning when Ryan Walker against Mike Trout, that was a big battle right there.
It was. If you noticed in the beginning of the game, how they were laughing and joking around and pushing each other, the Giants in the dugout.
I saw that.
This is what I'm looking for. This is what's going to make this team better.
Yeah.
Barring injuries, this is what's going to make this team go far.
Yep.
And I saw that, and I was enjoying it. And I was with my cousin. We were watching the game, and he said, "Man, they look jovial and they look
it was like, you know, let's forget about what we did yesterday. Let's go out and kick some butt tonight." And I loved it. With saw Matt Chapman bouncing around. You saw Pat Burrell kind of doing a dance, and they're getting loose. They're getting loose and getting ready to play, and that's confidence right there.
I think, and you know, I'll go over till the season is over. This lineup is going to be the winning lineup. This is the varsity lineup. I know a late night is not hitting right now, but it's going to come. He was taking some good swings today.
He was. Last couple of games. I thought yesterday he took a couple good ones too. And, you know, I just sometimes I wonder, Safe at third, is sometimes he takes good pitches for a strike. And that was kind of what I was talking about on some of my late night shows on Sports Phone KNBR. Sometimes he's watching too many, and I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive. As soon as I said that, the last two games, he's jumping. And he had a couple good balls on the nose today.
He's very careful, and Willie Adames, don't worry, everybody.
He's a professional. He's a professional.
And he'll come through. He showed that.
Safe at third. Matt Chapman, 0 for 23. Everybody, hey, Matt Chapman's overrated. We should never sign him to a long-term contract. Now are you? And I don't hear those callers anymore because he got hot in Philadelphia and carried right over to Los Angeles.
Let me tell you, Barry. I've always talked to you. You've laced them up and put them on, and God, I wish I could have done that. But I've been watching baseball since 1953 as a child, and gotten better and better with my grandparents always explaining to me how the game is. And I'm telling you, with this team with Verlander, he said, no, Verlander is the anchor of the pitching squad because he's teaching these young guys how to play the game, getting it in their mind. This is what you have to do. He may not be 20-0 this year, but he's 20-0 in my mind, and getting these young pitchers to do the right thing out there on the mound, man.
You know, one of the things I found out, too, in talking to pitchers and talking to some of the people I know, he's a student of the game. He looks at analytics. He wants to know during the game if his spin rate's tight, if it's not tight, if he's throwing a fastball at a certain velocity. You know what? He's 42 years old. You would think, hey, I'm just looking at the glove. I'm seeing how the ball's breaking. But he's understanding what he has to get better. And to me, when I heard that, man, you just got to give him some time. He's only had 4 starts. Give him a few more, and I guarantee he's going to put some zeros on the board, and he's going to surprise some people.
Well, lastly, everybody just calm down. Like you said, Bill, just calm down.
Pump the brakes, baby. Pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes. The first 25 games will get everything. Yep. I'm even looking at the A's Rooker. He started out with 172 and all that. This guy's batting 244 now and is on his way up. Soderheim is the anchor.
Well, Safe at third, you know as well as I do, you got to give him a couple hundred at bats. You got to get them. You got to, and guys will level off. They'll get hot. They won't. You'll have some guys that are coming out of the blocks fast. We talked about Wilmer Flores. He's hit a slump now. He's only hitting 213. A while ago, he was hitting 275. You go up and down. That's what baseball's all about. You play 162 games. And you're going to have ups and downs. It's how you get through the hurdles of the game, how you get your mental part on the game, and how you physically get prepared. And if you do all that, good things will happen to you.
Well, I tell you, and thank you for, let me come on and speak. But I can't wait for June when we meet up with the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see that. I want to just compare. I know the Dodgers are doing well, and they got a great.
The whole NL West is safe at third. The whole NL West is. They got the best records in baseball.
The Padres are scary.
Well, you know what? We'll see about the Padres on the 29th and 30th. That's when they first go head-to-head, and then they go to Colorado and play Colorado. So that's going to be the first shot in the NL West. But those are down the road. We got to get through one more game tomorrow and get a good homestand, 4 against Milwaukee and 3 against Texas. But thanks for the call. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Let's go out to Santa Rosa and talk to Ramon. You're on a late-night extra-inning post-game show. Giants win a thriller tonight. Did you get to watch it?
Yes, I did. How are you, Bill?
Hey, there's my buddy. I'm good, buddy. How are you, my friend?
Great. Thank you for asking. I was going to ask you, if you had to pick between Joe Morgan or Roberto Alomar,
who would I take? Well, you can't compare those. I've known Roberto Alomar. He was one of the best, if not the best, of his era. You got to look at eras because Joe Morgan was very good at second base in his era in the 70s and 80s. I don't like comparing like that because the game has changed in those years they played. Joe Morgan was different. He was a player in a different time zone. He was good at second base. Don't you remember all those guys trying to take him out at second base? And he had that quick flip, had one of the smallest gloves you ever saw from a middle infielder. Roberto Alomar, just as good. Go to his left real well. He was one of the first ones that really went out to short right field and made that play. But both of them are Hall of Famers, no question.
One more question. Do you play with David Green when you play with the Giants?
I did. David Green. Yeah, he came over in the St. Louis trade when Jack Clark got traded over. David Green, Dave LaPointe. David Green had one of the best arms I've ever seen, one of the strongest arms. He could, there was a time one time, Ramon, where we were in left field, and you know how Candlestick was, where the second deck was pushed way back? They were throwing balls, trying to throw it down one of the tunnels, and that was a pretty far. Nobody got to even the upper deck. They would fall short. David Green came over and threw the first ball, threw it on the upper deck into the tunnel, and we all looked at him and said, wow. And it was just fascinating how far he threw that ball. Great guy, had some issues off the field, had some great ability as a player, really good friend, and, of course, he's passed away.
Yes. One more question, Bill. Whatever happened to Pedro Guerrero?
Oh, yeah, Pete. Man, he was a tough out when he played with the Cardinals and he went over to the Dodgers. He was a tough out. I really don't know. I know he was a hitting coach for many years, Ramon. Let me ask you, do you remember David Green?
Yes, I did, yeah, because I'm from Nicaragua, yes.
Tell me about a story about David Green. How did you know him?
Supposedly, he was supposed to be the next Roberto Clemente.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were saying in Nicaragua in the
He had a lot of
80s.
talent. Yeah, he had a lot of talent. He really did. The Cardinals traded him over here, and, of course, he fell backwards off the field with some of the things he did. But at the same time, he was a good teammate. He was really, really a fun guy in a clubhouse. And let me ask you, Roberto Alomar or Joe Morgan, what are your thoughts?
I would say the hitting, I would say that Joe Morgan was better.
I don't know. Roberto Alomar could hit the ball too, man. Those two, yeah. I don't know if you can compare both of them. It's just so difficult, like I said, to compare them in different eras.
Yeah, they are both Hall of Famers.
Let me ask you this one: would you take Ryan Sandberg over both of them?
I don't.
Yeah, you like Roberto Alomar?
I think Roberto Alomar is the best second baseman ever to play the game.
Mm-hmm. Who was the top 5 guys out of Nicaragua?
Dennis Martinez, Vicente Padilla. We have a reliever that plays for New York right now, Stanley Loaiziga. He's a reliever.
Good players right there. There's 3 solid players right there. There's some great Latin players in Major League Baseball, and there always has been, and it's just getting better and better. Of course, Felipe Alou down in Dominican has that academy, and there's players that's jumping out of there. The Giants have a good flock of them in A-ball right now. There's a good quality couple players that are going to be good ball players.
Yeah, we also have, Nicaragua made the team, so we're going to be playing in Miami next year, during the World Cup,
Yeah, that'll be fun. I always like that. I think that's just a fun tournament. It's a fun event. Do you get to go down there at all? Do you watch it on television?
Yeah, I usually like to go. I usually follow my Nicaraguan team, so last time I went to Mexicali about 4 years ago when they were trying to make it to the World Cup,
Hey, Ramon,
Yeah,
did
so
you
I
ever
tried
go to
to
Winter
follow.
Ball? Did you ever go to Winter Ball and watch Winter Ball in the winter months?
About 10 years ago, I went to Dominican Republic. I went to Santo Domingo.
Mm-hmm. I played 3 years in Winter Ball. I played in Colombia. I was in Cartagena. I went to Venezuela and played in Venezuela. And then I ended up playing in Puerto Rico. So I had fun in Winter Ball. Winter Ball really made me a better pitcher because there was good baseball in Winter Ball. And let me tell you, the best fans, if you want to go watch fans, you got to go to Winter Ball and really watch some good baseball fans.
Yeah, we love the game of baseball. I've been living here since 1990, and it took me a few years to get used to because here in America, you guys clap. And in my country, we clap and we yell, we scream, we do
and
a
you
lot
whistle,
of things,
you whistle, and you get your bells rung, and you got horns. It's fun. It was fun time in there, and all the Winter Ball I played, it was fun times. When it was all over, you got done 3 months, you came home, you maybe had 2 weeks left before you went to spring training, but it's an experience I will always cherish.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much, Bill.
Ramon, it's always a pleasure talking to you, my friend. You always bring me up with these comparisons, and I love it, and I appreciate you calling in tonight. Really do. Thanks, Ramon. Let's go out to Rancho Cucamonga and talk to my buddy John. John, how are you? You're on the Extra Inning Postgame Show.
Good, Bill. How are you?
Good game today. I guess my string caller said you were at the game, so tell me what you liked.
I loved the baseball game. It was one of the best environments, it was full of Giants fans.
Yeah.
And Angel fans are excited because this is one of the best starts they have. It was a sellout of 41,000 people.
2 nights in a row, too.
And then, of course, watching just the great baseball of the Giants. I mean, everything was clicking. It's been clicking every game, but it just, like you said, the relaxed atmosphere they have, the team atmosphere, that's contagious. And all of us fans were so excited because, Southern California Giants fans, we have limited choices where to go, and Angel Stadium is one of the best stadiums in baseball. Right. Fans are one of the greatest fans in baseball. They're excited, and we were all having a really good time watching a great baseball game.
John, how far of a drive is that from you?
It's less than an hour.
Oh, that's not bad. I would have thought a little longer. What about Petco in San Diego? How far are you from there?
About an hour and a half.
Okay.
And I like going to Petco. And I
love
used
that
to
ballpark.
go. I've been down
that's
here
one of my
about
favorite. Yep.
I've been down here for 40 years, and I would always go to Dodger games and remember the ushers with the straw hats and Vince calling the game, and everybody was respectful.
Back in our time, that was back
years.
in my time when we went there. We saw the big white straw hats, and what was great about it, you'd be pitching, and you'd hear Vince Scully calling the game when all the speakers all around you on the mound, you could literally hear him talking when you were pitching.
and everybody was good, and that's changed over the years. Petco was great, but that's changed a bit with their fan base. But I tell you what, the Angels, they're a welcoming place for us Giants fans. And
today was a good game. It was
night.
a good rebound game. Did you get to watch last night's game? Logan Wegg, he was just dominant yesterday. It was just so sad they couldn't get any runs for him.
I know, and I didn't get to watch it, but I got to say I was there with my son and his family, my grandson, and I'll talk about the rally monkey because I had to educate him about that. But I had to run up and get concessions, and then Chappie hits it out right at the beginning, and
first inning.
It just made us all feel, oh my God.
You know what it did, John? It really calmed the offense down. It really got Landon Roupp out with a 2-run lead, got him comfortable in the first inning. Gives up a base hit, but he still punches out the side. He was electric tonight. His breaking ball was so sharp.
And he gets 10 Ks. I mean, he was great.
9 Ks. He got 9 today, and Logan Webb got 12 yesterday, 21 in 2 starts.
Yeah. So, and the defense was awesome. The contact, everybody making contact. It was really a fun, exciting, great baseball game.
So
to watch.
Glad you win. Are you going to go tomorrow? You got a little day game in you tomorrow?
No, it's Easter, so it's a family day.
Sure.
Yep.
Well, you'll be able to listen to it on KNBR. How about that?
And I listen to you guys every morning down here, like all us Giants fans. We stream KNBR down here, and it's a great start. It's a great start.
It sure is. It sure is. 14-7, and this is a long road trip. They had a 10-day road trip. Now they come home and play 7. You just usually don't get 17 games straight in the beginning of the year when you're looking at the month of April. 17 straight games, and then you had to go to the East Coast, come back and play California. Now you go home, a little rest, and then you play 2 in San Diego. Then you go to Colorado. So, it's a good test, but the test is being confident. And I think what we're seeing is a confident team coming back and back each game. It's not a blowout game. They're playing competitive baseball. Today was a grit game. It was kind of getting the trenches. We're going after you. You're coming after us. And that final out, finally, when we said, whew, got out of that last inning, Ryan Walker gets the save, and they walk out of there with a win. And that was a big, big plus on this road trip.
Absolutely. And I would challenge anyone to find something like this to start in the last quite a few years, that they can do that. Go to New York, go to Philly, come to LA, and have that kind of record.
Well, it would be a great short flight back to San Francisco tomorrow with that win to take a last series on this road trip by taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, going into Citizens Bank Ballpark and splitting with the Phillies, and then coming down there and winning the last 2 games. Let the offense come and get some big runs for Verlander and let him get his first win in a Giants uniform.
Absolutely. And I did, back on the rally monkey, we had a lady in front of us with a monkey, and I had to educate my 9-year-old grandson why we don't like the rally monkey because of 2002.
That's right.
But one other thing I want to say that is pretty cool is, how each team has a tradition of what or a ceremony on their home runs, and they wear different garb and do different things.
Right.
And one thing the Angels are doing is when Mike Trout hit both home runs and he came in the dugout, he puts on a firefighter battalion chief helmet.
I saw that.
It's kind of a tribute to us firefighters from Los Angeles. And it's a pretty cool thing.
It is, and it's a good honor, and it's something that teams should do more of, and I love when they do it. Sometimes it's kind of goofy and silly. Of course, up in Seattle, they take the 3-prong, whatever that's called.
The trident sword.
Yeah, the trident, exactly. And, some of it is goofy. I'm really kind of glad the Giants don't do anything. I really am. I just like the way they do it. High fives, going down the line, and it's a lot of confidence in that dugout, and I love seeing it as it's building off this road trip. And this homestand should be fun, coming home to the Giants fans, and 7 games here, and get them back home. Get them home in a home cooking with the Giants fans behind them, and let's start a good homestand. I think last time they played 6 games, they were 4-2. Love to see that same thing, maybe going 5-2 with 7 home games, but we'll definitely see them. And thanks for the call tonight, John. I appreciate the call, and call in more, my friend. You're my Southern California Rancho Cucamonga buddy.
That's it. Okay, thank you, Bill.
All right, thanks, John. Appreciate the call. All right, coming up next, I sit down with Greg Moonman Minton, a good friend and, of course, one of the best teammates I've had. We've had some great times over the years. That's going to come up next, so sit back and relax and listen to Greg Minton. He's a funny one, and you'll get some laughs out of this next interview right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. I am going to have fun with my guest coming up next. 16 years he pitched in Major League Baseball. In 1982, he was a National League All-Star. And you can see his plaque on the San Francisco Giants Wall of Fame. Let's bring in my buddy, Greg Moonman Minton. Mooney, how are you today?
Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Love talking to you, especially about the pitching, all the pitching things that you did in your career, and so many things have changed in Major League Baseball. When you're watching this game now, is there some things you scratch your head on and say, man, we didn't do that when I did?
Well, I don't scratch my head at it because I know what they're trying to accomplish. But an example, in 82 when I had 30 saves, I pitched 124 innings. So there's a lot of things about the game that has changed. Now, it's probably for the better. I don't know, but we didn't have pitch counts, no. We were pissed off if we didn't get put in the game every day.
That's the truth. Now, you started off in 1975 when you signed. You were a starting pitcher. When you look at what you did as a starting pitcher, bullpen, we didn't want to go into bullpen. We wanted to go 7 innings, 9 innings as starting pitchers. When you reflect on that, what did you think then?
Well, I was bouncing up and down between AAA and the big leagues for a couple of years because I was a great AAA pitcher, but I wasn't being consistent in the big leagues. I finally had a good year where I had a 1.4 ERA one year in limited duty as the long man. And they came to me and said, Greg, we're going to make you the closer. At that time, nobody knew what a closer was. So I ran down to the bullpen and asked Norm Sherry, what's a closer? He goes, oh, you're going to finish the games now. So it's a whole different mindset. That was the advent of starting the guy, take the guy out of the starting rotation, make him a closer. He's got good stuff, but just ask for 2 innings or an inning,
Greg Minton joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. In 1979, you had an injury. I didn't know this. I was reading about this today. Tell me about the injury because it affected your motion. You ended up changing it.
Again, reverting back. That's the whole key to my whole career, Bill, to be honest with you. I threw 93, 94, which back in those days was powerful. Mm-hmm. But it was straight as a frickin' arrow. Every single thing was straight. And the big league guys at 93, 94 didn't bother them any. So all of a sudden, I'm trying to make the club out of spring training. I have one last outing. I got a great spring training going. And somebody hits the ball from the Cubs. I think it was Jose Cardinal, I think. But it's a little trickler, and I dive to get it, throw the guy out sitting on my rear end and think, wow, that was a pretty good play, Greg. Well, you know how you wake up in the morning and something's not right and you pop your knee and, oh, there it is, perfect. Well, that's the feeling I had.
Wow.
But when on the next pitch, it blew my ACL out. And I had to rehab it, and they said, Greg, will you throw a little batting practice? Because they couldn't send me to the minors. I had to stay in the big league. So I threw a little batting practice, and Mike Sadek comes out to the mound after about 5 or 6 pitches. He goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm throwing batting practice, Mike. He goes, throw it straight, okay? I physically grabbed him and said, what are you talking about? He goes, the ball's diving. So from then on, I only took a 5-foot stride. Everybody else was 6.5, 7. I was only 5 foot, came over the top, and I had a pitch that got me to the big leagues finally.
And you did very well. In 1979 to 1981, 169 appearances until May 2nd, 1982. John Stearns hits a home run, and you had the longest streak of 269 innings and a third with no home runs. I watched you pitch. That sinker was devastating. The off speed was good. When you think about this and you sit back, Greg, a lot of good hitters you struck out. A lot of good hitters rolled over on that sinker. What happened in that whole, pristine part of your pitching career?
Well, the hitters would sometimes help me out. They knew I was going to be at the knees. They knew I was going to pound them inside if they were a right-hand hitter. And so they were prepared for it. And even when I made somewhat of a bad pitch, they were looking down there. And the thing is, you just couldn't get it in the air. I gave up a lot of hits, but you couldn't get it up in the air. So sometimes you got to use the hitter against himself, because they're looking to anything down low I got to go for. And thank you very much. This is just a little below the zone.
Well, in those years, the bullpen was pretty solid. 1982, Gary Lavelle was down there. 83, Al Holland ended up being down there. Jim Barr was another veteran pitcher. It was so difficult to get warmed up in Candlestick. It was difficult for anyone to even go down the tunnel and sit there to get the wind off of you. Now, there was times you sat in a sauna for a little bit. You sat in a training room for a little bit. But when it was time for game time, Greg Minton put that game face on, and you competed. Difficult for you at times? Was it hard for you at times to loosen up? But the pitches were, like I said, you were on most of the time with that sinker.
Again, the sauna, the tunnel, the whole 9 yards, you used anything you could. My biggest problem is when Frank Robinson or some of the other, Dave Bristol, some of the other managers, it's nothing to get 2 1/3 innings for a save. Mm-hmm. I'd come in the next day to the ballpark, and they go, Greg, you got an out for me? Can you get an out if I need it? I said, yeah, Frank, I can get you an out. Well, that was an inning and 2/3 more. So we threw all the time. I mean, getting loose wasn't my problem so much. I was a little bit flaky. I was always ready, out of the sauna and everything. But, boy, I was a little sore throwing 130 innings a year as a closer.
Greg Minton joining me on the Extra Inning Postgame Show for a few more minutes. Mooney, 1982, I was there with you. You finished 10-4, 123 innings. You talk about that, 30 saves, 66 games finished in 78 games. It was a time of your career, man, you were spot on. It was a time of your career, 6th in the National League Cy Young voting. Everything went well that year. Consistency was the word. Mindset was the word. And there was nobody in the opposition that you were fear of. What clicked for you that year?
Well, I was 32 years old, and this is going to sound funny, but maybe it was the first time I truly believed in myself. I wanted the biggest hitter I could up there because I knew I could get him. And it was, I was in my 30s before I had that career year, so it dwindled quickly after that, but like anybody else, I think I can. Oh, hell yeah, I can. Let's go. Who's next,
Well, you finished up your career with the California Angels. You moved on to the American League, playing in Southern California, a place where everybody wants to play. It's always nice and warm there, and of course Anaheim was beautiful to pitch in. But it was a whole different league. It was a whole different mindset, new hitters, new lineups, and you look around in your locker room, Wally Joyner, Johnny Ray from the Pirates, Tony Armas, of course, Chili Davis comes down with you. Then you look at some of the starting pitchers, Chuck Finley, Mike Witt, a whole different team, a whole different clubhouse. Was that difficult for you to fit in?
A whole different mindset over there. The Giants were going through some years where we didn't know if we were going to go to Florida, and then Bob Lurie bailed them all out. It was in flux a lot. Went to the Angels, and Gene Autry, the singing cowboy, owned them. They had all the big names, Bobby Grich and everybody, all the big names. It was just a completely different thing. My problem was I took the red eye overnight, met the team in New York, got called into I got there the 4th inning, got called into the game. I didn't even know my catcher's first name. Turned out Bob Boone introduced himself when he came out in that 9th inning. Okay, what are we going to do here, Greg? And I said, hey, Bob, how are you? Anyway, it is different. There was no interleague play. You didn't know anybody. You didn't know where to pitch them, how to set them up, what they liked. The biggest difference, and interleague play has taken this away. The American League 1 through 8 were all home run swingers. Mm-hmm. The National League was bunt and run and steal and play for 1 inning, 1 run. American League was 2 bloops and a blast, and that's what everybody was trying to do. So toward the end of my career with my sinker, although it wasn't the same, it did help me out because you couldn't lift that thing in the air. And these 2 old boys, I got a few more extra years in.
Well, in 1989, Brian Harvey became the closer. He ended up having 25 saves. You were more of a setup guy at that time. You still got in 62 games, 24 finished, 90 innings, still had a great earned run average. A difficult part of your career going, you're now 37 years old. Was that a change you accepted? What was the big part of it of being a setup man now?
You know, that was a mental change, but actually, Bill, it was an easy one. This Brian Harvey kid comes to spring training, and I'm watching him throw, and oh, my God, he's got better stuff than I do. But what I really wanted, I even went to the manager at the time and said, I have no trouble with this. I just want a job where it means something. So that was the advent, more or less, in that time span of setup man. And he said, okay, Greg, you're going to carry it on to Brian Harvey. I said, fine. But you put me in that 7th and 8th all the time. Brian was more or less a one-inning guy, so I still had a viable job that meant something. And when we were winning, I was in the game. And I had no trouble because Brian Harvey had some nasty stuff.
Well, as we finish up with Greg Minton on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show, everybody wants to know a Moon Man story. And the one that I always remember was in Houston, Texas, where we pulled in like 4 or 5 in the morning, and there was no early batting practice. The bus was supposed to leave at 3 o'clock, and we all came out looking for a bus. It wasn't there. Can you tell us that story, Mooney?
Well, I married a lawyer, so allegedly, the Shamrock Hilton had that quarter-mile driveway, and all I wanted to do was find out how many gears were in a bus. But I didn't know that I couldn't get out of second gear in a quarter-mile circle. So one thing led to another, and I parked it beautifully. I moved the cones and everything, parked it at the Astrodome, and that cost me a whole bunch of money. I had to go by.
So you took the bus, is what you're saying, huh? You took the bus.
Yeah, I took it and parked it and kind of forgot the whole team. I was already dressed out, and Frank Robinson and Rosen come walking in, the general manager. He goes, Greg, do you know anything about the bus? Oh, this is not going to go well right here. No.
Well, the best part of it was all the cab rides and all the fees you had to pick up on the taxi rides, because our whole team was waiting for a bus and there was no bus. We had to take taxis to the Astrodome, and when we got to the locker room, you're the only one in uniform. So, of course, we figured out you had to have taken the bus, but just one of the stories. Just one of the stories we know about Moon Man.
Those are some of the only ones you can actually talk about on the radio.
That's the one. That's the cleanest version I have, Moon Man. But I appreciate your time, and we won't carry on any more of those. We'll keep those to ourselves.
Hey, one last thing. It's a good thing that the Giants are starting out the way they are. I've heard these rumors about Buster has them back to thinking real baseball. Man, I hope it goes well for them.
Well, I appreciate your time. They're doing well, and we'll just see how they do as they begin another month of April. They're playing good baseball. But, Mooney, it's always great catching up with you, my friend.
Say hi to everybody up there for me, would you?
I will. That was Greg Minton on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Your financial journey is unique, and Pettinelli Financial Partners is here to help you navigate it with confidence. So whether you're building your future or securing your retirement, their team provides lifelong personal guidance every step of the way. Start planning your financial journey today. Learn more at PettinelliFP.com. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratus Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratus Wealth Partners and Pettinelli Financial Partners are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey as we finish up a Saturday. Giants win the second game of a 3-game series, 3-2 down in Los Angeles. The final game of a 10-day road trip will be tomorrow. Justin Verlander is going to take the ball at 1:05. Before that, you can join Kerry Crowley and I on the warm-up show. We'll be doing that to get you ready for the game. Mark Ibanez will be joining me to talk Giants baseball. Of course, you remember him from KTVU when he was a sports director. After the game on the Extra Inning post-game show, have a great couple interviews. You don't want to miss this. I sit down with Jung-Hoo Lee with his interpreter, Justin, and we really get a feel of who Jung-Hoo Lee is and what he did in Korea and how his life is transferred here in the United States. And also 14 years with the Angels, Tim Salmon. Two great interviews to get you ready for that Warrior game that's a tip-off later in the evening. I want to thank my producer today, Sea-Dog. That's Cole Lepelt. He did the phone calls as well as producing the show. Appreciate all his time, as well as Giants fans calling in and making the Extra Inning show just so good on KNBR. For Bill Laskey, be safe, be well. We'll do it again tomorrow, so join me right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing for the righty on your home of San Francisco Giants baseball. KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader. Play KNBR on iHeartRadio.
Came from behind, beat the Cubs, and then eventually went to the World Series and won it. Yep. Did the Mets win it, or did the Cubs choke?
The Cubs completely choked.
Oh, see, that annoys the snot out of me. I was a Met fan growing up, same age you were. rooting for my team, and they made a commercial out of it. I saw it on a commercial like 20 years after the Mets and Cubs had done battle that year. And it was a Chicago guy and a New York guy getting gas at a gas station. And the Met guy was feeling his oats because the Mets were winning the game on the radio of his car. And he said, then how about the 60th? And the guy just looks over at the Met fan and said, the Cubs choked. The Cubs had the lead, but the Mets were that good. Just because no one knew how good they were going to be when the year started, they said the Cubs choked. I don't buy that. The Mets just got so red hot. It wasn't like the Cubs went 3-13 down the stretch. They played 500 ball, and the Mets went by them like they're standing still.
I agree with you. The Mets were definitely on fire at the end. I mean, they were good for most of the season, but at the end, they were absolutely on fire. They passed the Cubs like they were standing still. And it wasn't, as a Cub fan, I got to say that the Cubs choked, but I never finished. The bottom line is the Cubs choked while you guys over there in New York completely had it all together. So it was both things. It was both.
Yeah, if you got to be one or the other, and Joe, thanks for the call. It was more the Mets, maybe in surprise mode. Maybe people didn't see it coming, and they really shouldn't have because the Mets were god-awful the year before, and that was the 1969 amazing Mets. But it wasn't because the Cubs choked. The Mets just got red hot and played phenomenal down the stretch and got phenomenal pitching, mostly led by Tom Seaver, but others as well. Jerry Koosman, Don Cardwell, reliever turned starter, pitched really well for them. No, I was just a wee lad, but I remember it, and I also did a lot of research on it after the fact. That was not a choke job. We've seen some choke jobs. We've seen teams come up small when they've had more talent and were supposed to win, and they fell apart. The Cubs did not fall apart. They just got passed by and unbelievably out of left field. No one saw it coming, but they were legitimately that good. Hot team like the Mets who jumped up and won the divisional championship.